Hey folks, John here. Thank you for tuning in and welcome back once again to This World My Take, where the headlines meets real life. How you guys doing? I hope you had a beautiful Sunday and a great weekend. And my Sunday is just wrapping up right now. And folks, I would like you to please help the platform. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like, and turn on your notification so that whenever I do drop something, you be the first to be notified. Let me adjust this and let's not talk too much. Let's get into the topic of today. Folks, I want us to talk about the attitude that most foreigners, when you move into a foreign land, you tend to think that you are better than the locals. And you turn to start creating a small community, and then before you know it, you make the whole region your own because you call your own kind to come in, and then that is how the expansion starts. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what I'm talking about a phenomenon called gentrification. In America, we used to talk about white business people come into a neighborhood where you have a whole lot of blacks, and then they will push these blacks away, and then they will build, residential areas and build businesses. And that is what we call gentrification. Now, folks, when this happens in a different country where you see a bunch of foreigners, I'm not going to say just American, but in this situation, I want to talk about the recent case of gentrification in Mexico. So, prior to COVID-19 and during COVID-19, Mexico had a really lax enforcement of the whole COVID-19 situation. And unlike America, this led to a whole lot of Americans moving to Mexico. And like folks, whenever you go abroad and you meet people from, your home country, it feels like, you are at home, like you guys stay together and stay in the same, geographical area. Now, this has been the situation that has been going on in Mexico. And it's funny how some of these foreigners, especially the Europeans and Americans, they've come to Mexico and they have started, let's say, gentrifying a whole lot of places around Mexico. I'm not going to name names, cities and places like that, but I want us to talk about the situation that is happening in Mexico City. Now, folks, there are particular areas and neighborhoods in Mexico City where if you go there, you will see a whole lot of Americans leaving. And when I went to Cancun, I did see this phenomenon which made me actually just leave Cancun, because I noticed that everybody in Cancun that I spoke to, when I turned left, it was an American. When I turned right, it was a foreigner. It didn't sit quite well with me. This same situation is what is happening in Mexico City, where Americans, especially the digital nomads, they have come together in a neighborhood and they start living in that neighborhood. Now, if you don't know who a digital nomad is, it's somebody who lives in a foreign land but still works for a company back in his hometown. Now, folks, I want to say this. Traveling around the world is a beautiful thing, but when you travel around the world, do not try to act like you want to control the locals wherever you go to. And then another word for gentrification is what we call colonialism, because we do recall of people who were moved into Palestine a couple of years ago as refugees, and today we do have what is unfolding now in the Gaza Strip. God forbid such a situation happens in Mexico. Now, folks, recently, the American embassy sent emails out to all the Americans living in Mexico, advising us of the situation of protests. Now, let me say this. When the people feel like you guys are smashing on the toes, when the people feel like foreigners are making life difficult for them to live in an area where they used to live and work in peace, there is going to be some protest. Now, this is not the first time that there's been a protest against foreigners visiting a particular part of the world. We had this situation in Spain where the Spaniards woke up and asked for people to leave, because this is how it goes. This is how gentrification works. Nowadays, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, bunch of foreigners, you've traveled to this country, you come with your hard currencies. It could be euros, it could be pounds, it could be US dollars, and then you live in an area where the locals used to live with their local currency, and they could afford things in that neighborhood. And then all of a sudden, those landlords in that neighborhood, they start preferring to rent out places to these foreigners who come in with local hard currencies, because it is beneficial to these landlords. Forgetting that once you keep doing this over and over, it hurts the local people. Now, what is happening now in that particular part of Mexico City is, if you go around there, you see a whole lot of places in English, stores and, signpost restaurants, all in English. But Mexico is a Spanish-speaking country. Now, when you go out to a country with your hard-earned currency, respect the local people. This is the same thing that is happening in Southeast Asia. The last time I visited Thailand, it was the same thing. Malaysia is the same thing, where the whole neighborhood uses stores, but in English. You see restaurants putting menus in English. And then this, when you come around, a whole bunch of you come together, you make life difficult for those who used to live there and pay, let's say, a lower rent. Because all these landlords, of course, if I was a landlord, I would go for the higher paying tenant. But then it becomes a problem, because some of these nomads come into Mexico and they feel like they are entitled. They don't see the need to speak Spanish. They do not want to learn Spanish. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been in Mexico. This is going to be my 5th month now. And what I'm finding difficult is, I feel uncomfortable when I go out in public and I cannot speak in Spanish. I don't want someone to say, oh, those Americans have come again. I try to just live the lowest life possible in Mexico, because I do understand. Now let's turn the table a little bit. Now imagine that a bunch of rich Mexicans move into an area in America where you have predominantly white folks living in, or even black folks, and they start growing in numbers, and they're just speaking Spanish. Oh, we know what is going to happen like that. So there was a manifest today, a protest against gentrification today, the 20th of July 2025. And I want you guys to understand this. Please, my American people, when you come to Mexico, respect yourself. Do not think that you are higher. I do not walk around carrying my head like I'm better than any local in Mexico, because I need to respect them. It is their land. Let us try to be like by the way, because it is funny that we are suddenly becoming the only group of people, us and the Israelis, man. That you go everywhere, you try to, just put your dominance and act arrogant. It's crazy. I'm not going to say much. I will leave in this vlog, but just let you guys watch a little bit of the protest, and then let me know your take on it. Watch. Yeah, folks, you guys saw that? The locals are not happy. Respect yourself. If you're an American in Mexico and you live in that area, I would advise you to actually do learn how to speak Spanish. And I would advise you to also try to at least, pay some taxes. You feel me? Because the local people are not happy. You feel me? And this is going to result in people start disappearing. This is Mexico. They can make you disappear like that. All because you're trying to gentrify. This is they see you as a colonizer coming to, you've taken their jobs, their food, their living. It's crazy. This one is complicated. We're going to keep talking about it. Stay blessed, folks.